Good morning, everybody. It is time to rise and shine and get the day started with the morning show of record for the homestead community, the Farm to Table Direct Show Morning Edition. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Robbie. I see you already in there, and I see you messaged Scotty. I don't know if he's jumped in yet or not, but we'll see. Anyway, glad to see you this morning after a great and exciting show last night. A lot of fun. So anyway, we're gonna jump in this morning. Well, good morning to everybody that may be watching later. There he is. Good morning, Scotty. Glad to see you in. But uh, hope you're all staying warm, man. It is colder than a brass toilet seat out there. And let's see if we can figure this one out. I'm gonna have to. I was putting this thing together last minute this morning, and I'm gonna tell you that's never a good thing. Uh, let's see where we at. Here we go. All right, all right. We're gonna All right. Sorry about that, folks. Had to go over and grab old Jack over there for a second. Anyway, it's sometimes it's when the time I got home last night and everything. Uh, all right,
48 today.
we're gonna.
God bless.
There were a lot
Good
Okay.
morning, Rednecks. It is 19 degrees. January the 22nd, 2025. Got a 15-mile-an-hour southern wind making it feel like 7 degrees. But we're going to get to 48 today. God bless y'all. See
All right. Thank you, Jack, for that. And oh my goodness, that is cold. Good morning, Joy Bartlett. Glad to see you in with us this morning. Y'all can let me know what it's doing where you're at. Right now it is 15 degrees where I'm at, but it feels like 8. So see if we got any wind blowing down here. Yeah, wind 7 mile an hour, gust to 14. Ooh, good grief. Yeah, it did. The show, the show didn't wear me out. It was the hour drive home after the show, and then getting home and taking care of some things here. But yeah, I'm not on my A game this morning. I'm sure as far as getting up, and getting things put together last minute. So yeah, bear with me. I do have a cup of coffee in hand, so we'll try to see if that'll help us out just a little bit. Oh man. Anyway, there we go. That does taste so good. 10 and feels like 6. Whew, golly, man, that's just too cold for me. We're supposed to warm up next few days. I'm hoping so. Anyway, just a reminder, those of y'all that are here, it's live chat event, so feel free to join in and make comments, and y'all are doing a great job of that. But anyway, so let's jump into today's reality smackdown. The Trump administration issued a memo on Tuesday directing all federal diversity, equity, inclusion (DEI) employees to be put on paid leave. He is putting them on paid leave, send them home, see you later, until he can figure out how to basically go through and streamline and let the old Doge do its purposes. I think he's already getting some pushback on that, as was expected. Uh, and the Attorney General's talking about pushback. The Attorney General from 22 states filed lawsuits against President Donald Trump's executive order. Hey, good morning there, David. Glad to see you this morning. Got anybody pulled over right now, or is it all quiet out there? I got my tea because it's cold outside. Yeah, that's why it is definitely that. But anyway, Attorney General from 22 states filed lawsuits against President Trump's executive order denying citizenship to children born in the U.S. to illegal immigrants and non citizens. That would be that birthright citizenship thing that he said he was going to 86, and he signed an executive order to that effect. I was reading through a list of executive orders last night, and oh my goodness. But anyway, and some of those, hey, listen, some of those are exactly what they're supposed to be. I mean, he's doing it. It's getting a lot of heat, a lot of attention, and it allows him. I think it's a distraction to give him something to cry about, and he can take care of what he really wants to take care of. But I don't know. Anyway, for those of us smartphone and Apple users, my phone didn't start when you start. I had to switch to the computer. Well, Robbie, I understand. It's too cold to work toward traffic. I understand. See, that goes back to something that I have believed, David. When the weather's terrible, you know, as long as you're not getting too crazy, you're probably going to be all right. Anyway, Apple's next iOS Mac OS update will turn on Apple Intelligence if your iPhone or Mac can run it. So if you've got a new phone, they're automatically going to turn the AI on. Um, right now, you have to opt into that or whatever. And but it did say you can opt out. You just got to go into your settings and turn it off. But you know how people get to not paying attention, don't realize it's on even. But anyway, so be aware that update's coming. And yesterday, Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Uh, Ichiro Suzuki got 99, 97 point out, whatever percent vote. Basically means one person did not vote for him to go in. 3,000 hits, and a bunch of other stuff. Good morning, bro. Glad to see you with us. Uh, anyway, so yeah, that was the reality smackdown for today. Uh, oh my gosh. See, little things popping up. See, I start talking about them operating systems and they popped up. Messed me up this morning. Anyway, yeah, that is your reality smackdown. Try to end it on a high note today. And we will jump into this day in history, January 22nd, 1831. Now, this one ought to make y'all laugh. I mean, it made me kind of chuckle a little bit. This day in 1831, Charles Darwin takes his Bachelor's of Art exam at Christ's College, Cambridge, up in Massachusetts, up there close to Scotty's place, coming in 10th out of 171 candidates. Huh, interesting. The guy with the theory of evolution. Yeah, anyway, how about that? Anyway, 1930, speaking of cold weather, 1930, state record in Mount Carroll, Illinois, negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 37 Celsius. That is insanely cold. I've been to that cold temperatures one time in my life, and no thanks. Uh, Another little interesting, 1951, Fidel Castro is ejected from a Winter League baseball game after hitting a batter. Yeah, and thus begins that ironic, crazy part of history where, yeah, well, I can't be a baseball player, I'll go be a communist dictator. Uh, uh, anyway, also, 1968 today, NASA's Apollo 5 first unmanned test flight of Apollo lunar module is launched into Earth orbit by the Saturn 1B missile. How about that? All right, 1973. Now, this one's a dark day in history with this one, but 1973, in a landmark decision, the U.S. Supreme Court legalizes most abortions, Roe v. Wade. Authoring the majority opinion, Judge Harry Blackmun states that the criminalization of abortion does not have roots in the English common law tradition. Yeah. Anyway, dark day in history there. But hey, following up, I'm jumping way forward. A lot of things I missed in between, but you got to be particular. U.S. at this day, 2018. U.S. government ends a 3-day shutdown after an agreement in Congress to extend funding. So, see, the shutdown, and guess what? The world didn't end. We, you know, so, hey, don't be afraid of the shutdown. Let's get a budget in place. How about a balanced budget amendment while we're up there with all this? But anyway, that is this morning's day in history. So, we're going to get right on over. Man, I am moving through. I'm going to have to start putting some more stuff in here. I'm going too fast for you guys. What we're going to jump into this morning is, and it may take the time, so that'll work out. Let me get my notes over here. We're going to dive into kind of what I call a fascinating story or a fascinating thought discussion about science, food, and the future. Um, it's one equal parts mind blowing and a little bit unsettling. And I'll be honest with you, when I read into this stuff, and there's a lot of things going on that are maybe known to people, but when you become aware of it, it's like you instantly see the bad that can be there, along with the good. But you see the bad, especially when you know whose hands it's in. But anyway, we're going to talk about CRISPR, or in particular CRISPR-Cas9. Uh, Now, you may have heard the term, may not, thrown around biotech conversations. And it's a genetic editing tool with a name that sounds like it belongs in your refrigerator, to be honest with you. Government shutdowns don't affect the politicians, it affects the little guys working for the government. You know, I'm going to pause. We can talk about that for a second, this CRISPR conversation, and we'll get into it. Uh, the vast majority of the federal government, as far as funding, is on autopilot. Basically, it's going to happen regardless. Um, there are people affected by it. I'm not going to say there's not, because there are places where it doesn't. Uh, but as far as like Social Security, the military, a lot of those things like that, that stuff's already funded out. It's on autopilot. It's not gonna shut down. They use it as a fear tactic. They use it as a tactic to get people upset. Good morning, Melly. Glad to see you with us. Uh, it's a fear tactic. They use it to get people upset. Those upset people call their representatives and congressmen, and the media uses it to scare people, gets everybody all upset. And it is a fear tool that the politicians use so that they can get around actually having to do a budget and actually having to, uh, uh, you know, limit themselves on spending. They can just keep right on doing continuing resolutions and keep right on doing, you know, free spending, taxes, spend politics, money, budgeting. It's willy nilly, and it's a convenient way to use it, and they do it to, like I said, it's a fear tactic. Now, I mean, if they would do their job, wouldn't have the problem to begin with. That's my answer to that. But anyway, back into CRISPR. It says it's a genetic tool that sounds like it might be lost in the refrigerator. And here's the gist of it. Basically, scientists have taken a trick bacteria used to fight viruses, turn it into a tool to edit DNA. Now, think of it like cutting a bad scene out of a movie and splicing in something just a little bit better, or at least that's the idea. Now, I'm going to go over, because I got this article, I got this from the Cultivate newsletter. It's my writing, but here, but I'm going to go over because I want to let Holly Hickman um, explain this just a little bit better herself, because it's just easier for her to do that way. This is her words. Uh, CRISPR, which is clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats, or CRISPR, pronounced like your vegetable door. CRISPR popped up all kinds of bacteria. Eventually, a paper got everyone excited. Uh, you know, so as you know, humans are constantly war, but really, against bacteria and viruses. And bacteria have their own viruses to fight, and that's basically, it's the body's way of fighting back against. Uh, Viruses are mean; they do not follow rules of war. So when the phages hitch a ride on the bacteria, it's invasion of the body center. They penetrate the cell walls. Oh, it jumped on me. Where'd it go? Here we go. Uh, anyway, cells walls use the bacteria's own DNA to basically Xerox themselves into dominance. So if bacteria want to win, we've got to be ruthless without killing their own DNA. That's where the CRISPR system comes in. It memorizes a fingerprint of the virus's DNA, then uses special enzymes to destroy any matches. Every time a virus attacks, it adds a portion of the virus's DNA to its own genome. And that's what the CRISPR spaces are, stored snippets of a past encounter with foreign DNA, or basically a personal library of virus attackers. Um, anyway, um, that is kind of how that works, just in being a nerdy way of kind of getting into that. But anyway, so how does this relate to you and me? Well, the FDA just stepped into the conversation. They're not just approving foods and medicines anymore, folks. They're looking at the rules of how to govern gene edited livestock. Could end up on your plate. That's right. Gene edited cows, chickens, and fish designed to be resistant to disease or even produce less methane, i.e., car farts and belches. Uh, but anyway, the goal is a more efficient food system. Now, that might sound a little bit like science fiction, but it's happening right now. Gene editing livestock has attracted billions of dollars in private investment, and yes, some of your tax dollars as well. Um, and it's kind of scary. The government has set up specialized innovation centers to help figure out how this all works and what might go wrong. Yeah, that's like inspecting yourself. I mean, it's just going to go so well. Um, and as I read into this, I mean, it's basically, changing things up, genetic modification, GMO. I mean, that's exactly what this is. And what happens? That's my question when it says what happens when it says what might go wrong. Well, that's what happens when it does go wrong. Um, because I figure it up. It's how's the best way to put this? God's a pretty good scientist, and He designed things, and the cow's multi-stomach system, the way it digests food and processes food and everything else, the idea of it not being able to expel these gases, well, something, and they're saying it's not going to create, trying to eliminate it using genetic DNA modification. Where's that going to go? Because they're eating food and they're doing things, and it's still, they've still got to be able to do it. So I'm just real curious. What do they think is going to happen? Are we going to have cows bloating up and exploding in the fields? I just now there's a lot of resistance to this. I'm sure in the ag community, as far as doesn't make no sense to me. This is part of that green movement and the whole climate change movement when it really gets down to push come to shove, and it's also back into more controlling the food supply. But now here's where things can get tricky. The pro CRISPR crowd says this is just a faster version of natural selection, a way to tweak nature for the better. But what happens, and we were just what happens when better has unforeseen consequences? We've seen this too many times in things, and we've all heard stories of the unintended side effects: pesticides that hurt bees, antibiotics that disrupt the microbiome, and GMOs have sparked decades of debate, and that's true. The news, how does the FDA define safe, and are we ready for the long-term risks? Um, they're so again, they're trying. I mean, it's more GMO, more GMO. I was telling Kate the other day we need to get a shirt, just black shirt, white letter says non-GMO. Uh, you know, so that people know we're not genetically modified. Which some would argue maybe we've already been genetically modified. Who knows? Uh, but anyway, and this brings me to a different thought. If we're tinkering with the DNA of our food, what stops us from doing the same thing with ourselves? I mean, you know. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. This is just right there. That covers it up, Robbie. So many times we try to improve gas design, it has really bad side effects. Absolutely, and that's if we're like I said, if we're tinkering with food, what's stopping us from doing the same with ourselves? And sure, it could cure diseases or edit out problematic genes, but they're already seeing hints of how messy this could get with where they've done human embryo editing in China. Classic slippery slope. But where do we draw that line? And I'm just to me, it is more bad news. Um, it's just one more thing that we probably shouldn't be doing. And I mean, CRISPR. I mean, it's this stuff is. Let's see. Hang on. They know as deleting pathogens. You know, and they put this Cas9, which is the DNA. It's the RNA. It's kind of it's the thing that works. That Cas9 it's the sequence that they use to do that. Now, you know, like I said, how involved should the FDA? How involved should our tax money be in that? And, now the one thing I will say is the FDA is looking for public comments on its guideline for IGAs in animals. And, that's uh, intentional genetic alterations. Uh, so so far we funded four animal and veterinary innovation centers. That's how those places where they're studying. Uh, they're focusing on three areas: bird flu therapies, uh, agriculture resilience, food security, animal health, public health, and unmet veterinary medical needs of both minor and major species. So, uh, And then they research chickens whose genes can be plucked to resist bird viruses, gene editing of cattle. Uh, it's funding rings in at only $3 million. Government is linking arms with biotech. FDA encourages private sector to apply for its veterinary innovation program. I mean, and so I mean, it's just like this. Just gets, it just keeps getting crazy. One small company has already edited the bitterness out of mustard greens, but we need better foods for health, lower addiction sweet foods. And I mean, we were discussing last night on the show. CRISPR-Cas9 was first supposed to replace missing genes for illness. Another word makes us whole again. Yeah, there's so much with it that's just the again, sometimes why we playing around with things. I mean, and like I said, it starts out like all these things with a good intention. And I mean, CRISPR's been around. The discovery of CRISPR and all this been around since the '80s, or been around a long time. I mean, they've begun, playing with DNA sequences and tweaking around and figuring out things and learning this stuff, and they still don't know everything. Uh, it's complex, and you know that's how we ended up with. Honestly, that's how we ended up with the PCR testing. That's how we ended up with a lot of what's going on, and Uh, they figured out how to genetically modify plants and seeds. I mean, all the GMO, non-GMO stuff that we have, uh, you know, been going back and forth with in the homestead community now for a long time, and so I don't think it's really that it's changed it any. It's just it's a different side of it that makes me concerned because you know right now the cow, trying to figure out how to make a cow not produce so much methane gas. Again, that's driven in climate change. That's driven in so many of those things. And the question is, are we building the future or chasing it blindly? I mean, that's really the question. And you know, then there's, like I said, sometimes there's that ethical argument of should we be doing this? And um, because like I said, it brought up earlier, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of stuttering a minute there, thinking, getting my thoughts together on this one. You know, because again, right now it's birds and cows and trying to figure these things out, and plant food and all this stuff. Which hey, we are what we eat. So there are some concerns there. What does it do? Because like I said, it's that unintended consequence, and as Robbie said, it's, really bad side effects. But like anything else, we tend to cross those lines. There tends to be, uh, yeah, and yeah, Burroughs putting that up there. Here we go. I'll put that guy playing God trying to improve on his plan. Yeah, ridiculous. Absolutely, 100%. And it's one of those things that makes you wonder how far does this go? Um, where's the line? It was talking about the embryos in China, where the Chinese are already playing around with this. And, the last people I need playing around with things right now is China. They should be hands off, allowed on anything in the biotech, medical world after the last fiasco that they, helped cause. And that's a lot of these organizations. They shouldn't have anything to do with this. And so, again, what's next? Well, where this goes potentially, and a lot of the fear is, okay, we're going to start using this to uh, gene edit or attack, take things out. Now, in theory, it can be used for good stuff like cancers and things of that nature that it can go in and fight these. Now, there's a lot of speculation on all the things. I always joke, it's like everything causes cancer. Breathing causes cancer. I mean, it's, but so is there potentially good use out of this? Yeah, potentially. But we just don't, to me, the scare is the side effects. Now, I don't live in fear, but at the same time, how long before this is, editing out certain features or, where does this lead to? Does this go to, uh, you know, I want my child to be 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes. Uh, I want I want this versus that. I mean, we start messing around with DNA. We start getting into gene editing. We start getting into these things where we're altering things. Like I said, trying to improve on his plan. But where's the line? Where do we stop? Uh, where is it health, or where is it science and research, and where is it doing exactly that as playing God? And so, that's a question that we all have to ask ourselves. And so keeping an eye on these type of things. There's technologies out there. They're learning it. I mean, they're still stumbling around about a lot of it, but it is growing. I mean, and the fact that the FDA, I'm hopeful that maybe some people inside there will get a hold of this and, put the brakes on some of it, but I'm not holding my breath. The government's never been real good at restraining itself. Hence why we have constitutional amendments to the Constitution itself, and all this other stuff is so that it will hinder the government. But so anyway, that is CRISPR-Cas9. Cas9 is the sequence and it's got it's the section of the CRISPR technology that it's the CRISPR gene that does the job. It's the RNA. It's what they can, their messenger. Is what that is. But CRISPR-Cas9, gene editing, kind of kind of where things are at out there right now. Yeah, and of course, this was on the show last night for those who missed it. Last night, it may help with some things, but when you hear the list of possible side effects, do you want to have those? And that is true. We were talking about medical, big pharma and commercials, and when they go through there and they list a long list of side effects, and the side effects, side effects sound worse than what it's supposed to be treating or curing or whatever. And and that's I think that's appropriate, Robbie. It's what's the worst deal here, and do we really want this going on? Um, and I won't repeat last night's comments about it, of course, mine. But anyway, so there it is. Take that, chew on it a little bit, do your own research, um, uh, and you know, like I said, I got that. I mean, I based this off of the Cultivate newsletter. I encourage you go out, School of Traditional Skills, Cultivate newsletter, Holly Hickman. I encourage you to go out and sign up for that newsletter, as well as Joel Salatin's Musings of a Lunatic Farmer, his blog, Beyond Levels podcast, his podcast. It just helps keep up with this kind of stuff. The writing is great there, a lot better than my narration, but anyway, I encourage you to go check those places out, as they are just a resource of information, keeping up with what's going on in the world. And we try to relay that to you when we get it. So, with that being said, we're approaching the half-hour mark. So we're going to begin to talk about upcoming events. I got a big long list, so we're going to work through that real fast. Appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. I appreciate you all being here. Those that are going to listen later, thank you for listening on the replay. Anyway, upcoming events, March 21st, 22nd. We're under 60 days, I know that. March 21st, 22nd, Okie Homestead Expo, Mays County Fairground, Pryor, Oklahoma. Tickets on sale now, $50 two-day pass. So kids 17 and under are free. So make your reservation, get your tickets. If you're going to go and stay, make reservations, because that places fill up fast around there. Next up on the list, the Shindig Ozark Living Expo, April 25th, 26th, Jasper, Arkansas, at the Newton County Fair and Rodeo Grounds. Homestead Festival at Hardison Mills near Columbia, Tennessee, June 6th and 7th. That one is $75 general admission for both day. It gets both day, two-day pass. Kids 6 to 17 are $25, and under 6 are free. That is a large festival, over 5,000 attendees last year. They got a little bit of everything down there, but the speaker lineup is looking good for that one as well. And then we're going to take a nice little jump over to September. Ozark Homestead Expo, Marshfield, Missouri, September 5th and 6th. That is another one of those awesome ones with a great lineup. General admission, $50 for the two-day access to everything. Kids 13 to 17 are $15, and 12 and under are free, but you still got to get a ticket for them. And that's the ticketing option. Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, McAllister, Oklahoma, September 26th and 27th. That is $15, I think, for 18 and up. I'm not sure the age. I have to go find that one out. But anyway, it's still very affordable. It's the second year on that one, and things are looking good for that. And you can find them on Facebook, Oklahoma Homestead Rendezvous, and also I know they are getting the website up, OklahomaHomesteadRendezvous.org. It's not complete, but it is up and running. It's just missing a few things. And of course, Homesteaders of America Conference, it's October 11th and 12th, I believe, 2025, Front Royal, Virginia. Tickets are on sale now, $50 for a 2-day pass. They are still selling them as of yesterday. I didn't check today, but they do sell out quickly. They'll be sold out long before, and they don't have tickets to date of. So if you're interested in that, or you're on the eastern seaboard over there, and Virginia's not too far, be an excellent conference to go to. It is the lineup out there is stellar. Looking forward to that. Anyway, folks, that is a wrap for today on the Farm2Table Direct Show Morning Edition. Thanks, as always, for joining us as we explore headlines and stories impacting our world for now and in the future. Certainly, CRISPR-Cas9 and gene editing, and these things are going to continue to be an issue. They're going to continue to be a highlight. So we need to keep our eyes and ears open to those type of things so we know what they're trying to do, and particularly when it comes to our food security, and what they're doing with cows and birds and all those types of wonderful things that we like to consume, fish, etc., so that you know what you're putting in your body. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's show, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed to our channels on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble. It is the best way to stay connected and help grow the conversation about food, farming, and community. Folks, that's it for today. Keep your roots deep, your vision growing. Good food starts with great people. We are #Stronger Together. We will be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Reminder, there is a link down in the description. If you're interested in getting a little bit closer on food, kind of where to source food locally, there's a PDF link down there. You can click on that, download that. Coming up next Tuesday on the Farm2Table Direct Show weekly, we will be getting into what we talked about yesterday, which is the self-reliant scale and what's going on with that, and how you can, some steps that you can take, and what we're going to do. And we're going to jump head first into that next Tuesday. So anyway, be a blessing to someone today, and we will see you all on the other side.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.